We're reading from EVERNIGHT by Ross Mackenzie, and it's the 7th chapter, which is called Tea Leaves and Trouble. The stink of the tenement building was thick. It pressed on Lara's skin as she followed Joe up the stairway. The bare floor was filthy, and all around were the sounds of arguments and raucous laughter and crying babies from overcrowded apartments. Up and up they climbed, until there were no more stairs, only a very small door in a leaning, toadstool-infested wall. Joe fished a key from his coat, unlocked the door, and showed Lara inside. The attic room was tiny and bare. There were 2 beds and a stove, and that was about it all, aside from a tatty armchair by the dirty window. In this armchair sat a frail-looking old woman. She did not seem to notice that Lara and Joe had come in. There was a threadbare patterned blanket over her legs, and her bony hands sat clasped on her lap. "I'll get the soup on," said Joe. "You want tea?" The rain had soaked them through, and Lara was shivering. "Please." Joe busied himself at the stove. "What's your granny?" said Lara to the old dear. Granny was staring out of the window, but her gaze did not appear to be fixed on anything. When Lara spoke, it seemed to take a minute or two for the words to reach her. Then she looked up and smiled, and for a moment Lara thought there might be a flicker of recognition in her eyes. "Hello, my love. Oh my, you are a pretty one, aren't you? That lovely dark skin and those shining eyes. I bet all the boys is after you. Is this your house?" Lara closed her eyes for a long moment, disappointment filling her up. She forced a smile. "No, Granny, this is your house, remember? You live here with Joe." Granny gave her a blank stare, and then her old eyes lit up. "I have a daughter, you know, about your age. Do you know her?" Lara didn't know what to say. Granny's daughter, Joe's mum, had died years ago when Joe was very little. Joe caught her eye and gave her a sad shrug, and when the kettle began to whistle, Lara was glad for the distraction. The tea was hot and sweet, and it warmed their chilled bones. "Does she ever remember things?" Lara whispered. Joe sipped at his tea. "Less and less, and she don't eat much." He stopped talking just then because the old lady had turned in her seat, and she seemed suddenly alert. She pointed a finger to Lara's cup. "Finish that up, my love, and I'll read your leaves." Years ago, before she'd begun to forget, Granny had been well known in this part of the slums as a gifted reader of tea leaves. She had predicted lots of things successfully, like whether an unborn baby was going to be a boy or a girl, or where and when a young woman might meet the man she would one day marry. She had predicted a great flood and saved many hundreds of lives in the slums. But people were also suspicious of tea leaf readers, and Granny had learned it was best to keep her gifts quiet. Lara finished the last of the tea, leaving just a drop in the bottom. She gave the cup to Granny, who took it in her hands and sloshed the last drops around, gazing at the fragments of leftover leaves. She rolled her tongue around the inside of her mouth. "You're leaving? Leaving King's Haven? Leaving the Silver Kingdom?" Lara frowned. "Leaving? No, Granny, I don't think that's right." Granny held up a finger, but she did not look up from the cup. "I'm only telling you what the leaves say, love. Now, what else? Yes. Oh, I see you flying." "Flying?" Lara gave Joe a sideways look. "On blazing wings, my love. Wings of the colour of the sun." She was becoming quite animated, sloshing the leaves around in the cup. "The locket. Do you still have the locket?" Lara's surprise was sharp and quick. She had never told anyone about the locket, not since she'd run away from the orphanage when she was small. "How do you know about that?" "It's not me, my love, it's the leaves. Now, the locket. Do you still have it?" Lara nodded. All at once she was uncomfortable and troubled. The irrational feeling that something bad was coming swept over her. "Good," said Granny. "That's important, that is. Keep it close. Keep it safe. Listen to it." She really was becoming overly animated now, twitching around in the chair, trying to get to her feet. Jo placed a gentle hand on her thin arm. "Granny, you need to calm down. Just sit, eh? Relax." She struggled against him, looking into the cup again, and her expression filled with darkness. She let go of the cup as if it caused her pain, and it fell and smashed on the floor. Oh, I am sorry. I'm an old fool." "Don't worry, Granny. Just an accident is all." Jo went to fetch a broom. "Are you all right, Granny?" Lara put a hand on the old woman's wrist. Her pulse was beating fast and hard. Granny stared into Lara's dark eyes and said, slowly and deliberately, "She's going to release it. Oh, my heavens, she's going to do it." "Who, Granny? Who's going to release what?" The woman with the false face. She's going to release the EVERNIGHT." EVERNIGHT. The word sent Lara's thoughts rushing suddenly back to a time when she was very young, to the orphanage, and the stories the older kids told in the dark. Without warning, Granny's hand clasped tight around Lara's wrist. "They will come for you, girl. The woman with the false face and the man with no shadow." Lara's heart raced, but a vacant smile had now washed over Granny's features, and she'd returned to staring fixedly out of the window. The sound of the rain on the glass seemed very loud. The old lady's eyes moved from the window to Lara, and the expression on her face was one of surprise, as if she was seeing her for the first time. "Oh, hello, my love. Is this your house?" Lara's fingers were touching the locket through her shirt. "No, Granny," she said. "No, it isn't."